We are juggling a million things at once. Work, life, relationships, our home, and oh yeah, those children that we're trying to raise in a world that is constantly changing. Do you ever feel like you're just trying to keep your head above water? With social media, endless advice, and app for everything under the sun, it just feels like we're dropping balls left and right. But here's the thing, some of the habits that we may have picked up along the way might be making life harder on us and on our kids. Frustrating, I know. That's why today we are breaking down the top 3 parenting mistakes that you probably don't even realize you are doing. And don't worry, I've done the research for you. I've pulled up the science-backed evidence and the fixes that make parenting easier, not harder. We are looking to raise emotionally strong kids with stress-free parenting. And that is exactly what we do here on Mommy Breakdown, where I break it down so you don't have a breakdown. Let's grab our beverages and dive in. Mistake number 1, overscheduling our kids. As caring parents, we love giving our kids every opportunity. Ballet, soccer, piano lessons. Our kids' calendars sometimes look more packed than our own, right? Research shows that overscheduling can increase stress, anxiety, and even lead to burnout in kids. We've all heard this, right? But how much is too much? It often feels like we're stuck in a Goldilocks dilemma, being told too much or too little and constantly trying to find that perfect balance. Let's break it down. For toddlers, experts recommend just 1 structured activity per week because this stage is all about free play and exploration. Take a look at this example week. I put it together so you can get an idea. They're still doing things every day, but they're not structured activities where they have to follow a certain set of instructions because at this stage, it's important to mix in plenty of free time, outdoor play, and activities that let your little one engage with the world around them. Now, for the preschoolers who are typically in half-day programs, they're expanding their social world, and because they're in school, experts still recommend just 1 structured activity per week. Take a look at this example week for the preschool age. At this stage, they need time to unwind from their half-day programs and keep learning through play. The goal is to foster creativity and social skills. For full-time students, we're moving on, they are going to be exhausted when they get home from school because most of them were napping in preschool. Then they get into kindergarten, 1st grade, there's no more nap anymore, and it's structured activities all day long. Lots of listening and processing information. I know for my son, he came home and it was just like face first into the couch, which makes me think of how I feel as a parent sometimes, right? Now, let's take a look at this example. We can see that these kids are becoming more accustomed to structured environments, but it's important to leave room to recharge as full days at school can be overwhelming and overstimulating for some. So as they go along, you might want to add in a 2nd structured activity, but start with 1. Now this right here, 3rd through 5th grade, they might start developing a stronger interest in a specific extracurricular activity where they ask you to take them more often. So experts recommend around 3 structured activities per week. Now take a look at this schedule. You can see here that it's almost an every other day kind of thing. So it leaves room for homework time, family time, downtime. This age group benefits from a schedule like this to keep their stress levels manageable, but here's the important part. It allows them to maintain their enthusiasm for the things that they do enjoy. We have arrived to middle school, and I know that this stage is quite scary for most parents, but it's actually my favorite age group to teach, and now I also have a child in middle school. She's in 6th grade, and her extracurricular activity is And she decided she wanted to play the trombone, which is quite ironic because when she signed up for band, my husband and I were really excited because we still own our instruments from when we were in middle school band. Did you ever play an instrument, or do you play an instrument now? I played the clarinet. He played the trumpet. We didn't know each other at the time. We actually met in high school, but whatever. Anyway, the point is that she decided to play the trombone. Come on. We were like, is it going to be the clarinet? Is it going to be the trumpet? She's trying them out. And then she decides a totally different instrument. So we both lost. Experts recommend at this age 3 to 4 structured activities per week. Take a look at this example. You can see here that at this stage, kids can handle more responsibilities, but they do need that downtime. I know it's repetitive. At this time, we really need to start encouraging them to take time off when we see it starting to prevent burnout, which we will come back to. And finally, high school, we're going to be taking off those cab driver hats, passing it to them. They're going to be learning how to drive. They're going to be the ones on the roads. Be extra careful out there. It is the most dangerous thing we do every day. Be a defensive driver. When you are at a red light, this is a PSA. When you are at a red light and it turns green and you're at an intersection, don't assume that, okay, it's green, I can go. No, look left, look right, because intersections are where the most deadly accidents happen. But we are talking about overscheduling kids, so let's focus on that. How often should high schoolers be doing structured activities? Experts recommend keeping it around 3 to 4 because at this point in time, they might be starting a part-time job, applying for colleges, relationships. All of these things take up more time on top of the homework and the studying and the projects that they have to do for school. So let's look at an example week for high schoolers. At this age, it's important to allow them to manage their time. And also, we want to encourage self-care. Now, self-care is not what you think it is. That is actually what mistake number 3 is going to be about. You may have seen on the thumbnail that I created that cute little baby from someone's TikTok who has, what are those things that go under your eyes to make your eyes not puffy? Eye patches, eye masks, eye thingies, and the towel around the baby's head. It was adorable. That's not what self-care is. So stay tuned for mistake number 3 because we've been duped. The takeaway is that kids need balance, and I know you already know that. So start with the guidelines that we just discussed, and then take a look for these 4 signs that you might be overscheduling. Number 1, mood swings or irritability. Number 2, declining school performance. Number 3, complaints of tiredness or physical discomfort, and 4, a lack of excitement for activities. If you see these things in isolation, kids are going to have ups and downs. We're going to have days when we don't even want to do the thing that we enjoy doing. But if you see it as a pattern, it might be a sign to slow down a little bit, finish up the season or whatever it is that they signed up for, and then maybe skip a season and then start again after that. Check for those cues. You know your child best. All right, mistake number 2 is going to have all of the boomers shouting to us, "I told you so," and they are right.
He pulls that tomahawk swing thing again. I want you to bench him. He needs to learn a lesson.
Coach, can you put my son in the pitch? No, he hasn't gotten a chance to pitch all game. Some of the other kids have been pitching, and I think my son should get to pitch too.
Homework? What do you mean homework? Back in my day, that's exactly what it was. Work at home. Now go clean the garage.
No, you don't need a new iPhone. Back in my day, we didn't even have iPhones. We had iPods. It's like an iPhone with only music. And it wasn't touchscreen. It had buttons. These kids don't know anything. Oh no, I'm becoming my father.
But before we get to that, if you are finding this content helpful, please hit the subscribe. It lets me know to keep doing this each week, and I would really appreciate it. Mistake number 2, not letting our kids solve problems. As a professional who specializes in children with behavioral challenges as well as academic challenges, I see this all too often. A child will be struggling. And the parent will see that the child is struggling and they will jump in too soon to save them. Research shows that when kids have autonomy and problem solving, they build confidence, persistence, and better emotional coping strategies. But how much is too much, right? Do I just throw my kid into the deep end and go, swim, move your arms and legs? Let's break it down stage by stage. Toddlers 1 to 3 years old, common scenario, they struggle to put on their shoes. What parents usually do is, here, let me do it, and they slip the shoes on for them. A better approach is you try first, give them time to attempt it, then offer if needed. Why this works? According to research on motor development, toddlers refine their fine motor skills and coordination through trial and error, encouraging them to dress themselves, builds problem solving and independence. Preschoolers 4 to 6 years old, common scenario. They argue with a sibling over a toy. What parents usually do, take the toy away and decide who gets it. A better approach, state what happened, mirror back each kid's argument, act dumb and say the problem out loud, encouraging the solution without saying it directly. Why it works. Studies on conflict resolution show that when children practice solving disputes, they develop better emotional regulation and social skills. Taking the toy away removes the learning opportunity. School-aged kids, 7 to 12 years old, common scenario. They struggle with a math problem. What parents usually do? Give them the answer. Better approach, what do you think the next step is? Guide them to work it through without solving it for them. Why it works? Research on something called scaffolding, and if you're an educator, you're familiar with that word, shows that children learn best when given just enough support to push them toward independent problem solving. This approach strengthens critical thinking and perseverance. Teenagers 13 years and older. Common scenario. They forget their homework or a sports uniform. What parents usually do? Rush to school to drop it off. Better approach? Let them experience the natural consequences so they learn responsibility, with a caution that we will come back to later. Why it works? According to research on executive function, teens develop self-discipline and responsibility when they face real-world consequences for their actions. Rescuing them prevents them from learning accountability. And this is why the boomers are screaming, I told you so, because in general, they did this well. They let us feel that discomfort, and we had to push through it so we can learn and grow. And for most of us, they didn't come just save us.
Don't talk in the grocery store. What did I tell you? I said no talking in the grocery store. I already told you. Keep your mouth shut. Well, what'd you do that for? Why are you touching things? Put your hands back in your pocket.
Now, a quick reality check before implementing these problem-solving techniques is if the child is continuing to be unsuccessful, they cross over into a level called frustrational level. And once they reach there, they just shut down and give up. So let's say you have a teenager who is forgetting their homework over and over and over again. So you go, you know what? I'm not going to bring your homework. And then they forget their homework every single day after that, and they're not improving even though you've given that natural consequence. At that point, they might need the support, especially if you have a child with ADHD or autism or a child with anxiety, is they might need you to show them. And we made it to mistake number 3, and it's not about your kids. It's about you. It's forgetting to take care of yourself. Self-care, you've heard it, right? Self-care isn't selfish, and you can't pour from an empty cup, blah, blah, blah. Because self-care is not about a spa day. It's not even about a bubble bath. First of all, who has time for that? And who actually has a tub that doesn't have a million toys in it? So what does it actually look like for parents of all ages? And yes, even when you have a newborn baby, you can fit in some self-care. I broke down some realistic things that you can do today. Let's do it. If you're the parent of a baby or a toddler, you're probably laughing at the idea of free time, but hear me out. It's about finding little tiny pockets of time throughout the day to use it as a reset. We're going to start with breathing. And no, I'm not talking about a 30-minute yoga session. I know you don't have time for that. We're talking about something called a physiological sigh. We're going to take 2 breaths in. So you're going to breathe in as much as you can and then breathe in a little bit more, whatever you can fit back in those lungs. And then we're going to let it out slowly. Let's try it. This is not just some hippy dippy thing. This is science backed, and you can fit it in when you're feeling overstimulated. Now, if you have school-aged kids, you might be getting excited going, ooh, I have a little bit more wiggle room in my schedule, but that new time that has been added might actually be replaced with going back to work, or it's even replaced with things like after-school activities, the constant, Mom, I need this, because why is there always something to dress up for, something to send to school? So here's what we can do in reality. Exercise. Now, I'm not saying you need to sign up for a full workout routine, but moving your body, even in small bursts at this point in parenting, can make a huge difference. Think about a brisk 20-minute walk while your kids are at practice. Just a little movement helps release endorphins, boost your mood, and give you a mental break. And for parents of teenagers, you might be thinking, thank goodness, I don't have to pack lunches anymore. I don't have to go to soccer practice anymore. But you're probably dealing with the emotions of a teenager, and that can be challenging and triggering for ourselves. To look into hobbies. Remember those things that you used to love to do before you had kids? Finding 15 minutes a day for something creative or fun. And hobbies don't have to be productive. They just help you to unwind. Our kids won't be here forever. And one day we will all have empty nests. We need to have an identity besides just mom and dad. So there you have it, the top 3 parenting mistakes that even the most well-intentioned parents fall for. Now, I want to hear from you. I just posted a poll in the community tab here on Mommy Breakdown. I want you to vote. And if there's something that's not mentioned there, comment it below. I am here every Saturday with either something parent education related or super nanny related with jumping off points for parent education. I'll see you next time. Bye.